Okay, morning. Let's start. Okay, so we look at demand supply. Again, I don't know how they will test you, but quite confidently we have covered like everything lah. Okay, quite a lot. So actually all well quite covered. Okay, so this one here taken from last year's October IB question, the paper. Okay, so how a decrease in income may affect the demand for normal goods and the demand for inferior goods. All right, so we have one trigger, which is the decrease in demand, and then we have two outcomes that we are after: the change in demand for normal goods, the change in demand for inferior goods. All right, so okay, so we have underlined the three key terms. Okay, this one is demand, this one is normal goods, this one is inferior goods. All right, so the three things must be defined. Then, okay, we'll do it separately lah because you have two outcomes you're after. Okay, so first thing we define first. Okay, so let's say demand for, so I was guessing. So our first paragraph definition we give, and then this one here is just to link to our topic. All right, so a bit optional lah. If you don't want, it's fine. Then the last part here talking about the outline for the essay. All right, we are going to explain how change in or decrease in income specifically affects the demand for normal goods and inferior goods. Okay, this one straightforward lah. The key thing is just if you recall what is normal good, what is inferior good. Okay, so either one first, but you can also explain about the portion on decrease in demand. Okay, so we can look at that portion first. Okay, no issues. So we are going to split our four steps here because we have two outcomes. Okay, so the same trigger applies. You have a decrease in income. We explain this first. So step one is to state what happened. There's a decrease in income. Step two, you explain a bit. Okay, so we get fired from the jobs. They cut our pay because whatever reasons. Then we are going to have a lower purchasing power, and then you can buy less goods and services generally. So this is like step one, step two lah. So it only explain the trigger, that's all. Then you can come on to, let's say, normal goods first. Okay, so we come on to normal goods first. This is one outcome, one particular product. And so we look at the next paragraph. So normal goods are what kind of goods? Any definition, examples? Yeah, inclusive. Can. So like luxury goods are considered also. Yeah. So here, okay, this portion we define normal good. So the thing is about the change in income and demand. Okay, so normal goods, they are in the same direction. Income changes first, then the demand responds. Okay, so income will happen first, it will change first. So for example, you have luxury goods like branded cars. When people have low income, they buy less, right? And then if the income goes up, of course, we buy more. So the last line here we will explain, but this one bear in mind, okay, that necessities are also considered normal goods. Okay, so when you recall back to the YED concept, right, the income elasticity, we recall that normal goods you have necessities and luxury goods. Okay, so why we say here not necessities is because for our example, we only talk about luxury, we didn't include necessities. All right, but technically normal goods will have two types. One is still necessity, one is still the luxury where you don't really need it in life, it's good to have. Okay, so now just to check, okay, so once I check through, I realized I missed out one thing, right? So I have talked about the change in demand, which is that the demand will go down. I've also explained further. So this one still belonging to step two, lah. Okay. Then I realized that, oh, I haven't written about the last step, right? The change in the diagram. So I'll add in here before I go on to the next paragraph. So demand curve. Okay, now if you want to combine diagram, you can. If you don't want to combine, it's also fine. Okay, up to you. All right. Let's say here to make it simpler, you can combine, so you draw two times lah. So you need to do one shift in this diagram. Okay. Okay lah, I'll just put it here lah. Okay. I don't think need to show you lah. You can draw, right? Draw demand of shifts left. Okay, if you face difficulty, you let me know. Otherwise, I assume you can draw, so I won't draw it out. Okay. Then remember to label as market for normal goods.
Wait, dude, I think you just draw it.
Okay, can you give me a while? Okay, I need to mute myself. One thing. QD. QD. It could be zero. If you don't touch the axis, then yeah, somewhere out there. Okay, can so we will explain the adjustment process also, which is why you got the surplus and the arrows going down. Okay, then I have QD here. This QD is it could be on the axis depending, right? If the demand shifts sufficiently, let's say it starts, let's say now here it starts at the axis, then at this price P0, right, it could be zero. Okay, so it's okay to be zero. So QD and right? Q0 is the initial quantity. QD is the new quantity demanded at P0. Now we got the surplus. So this surplus pushes down your price. Then you will reach the new equilibrium later on. All right. So we explain this also because the question is quite straightforward. Right. So this adjustment process may be the part that your friends will miss out.
Wait, what's Q0?
Q0, you mean the black one, huh?
No, the red color.
This one QD, quantity demanded.
Yeah, but like, wait, why would it be like so far to the left?
So far to the left. Oh, because the demand has already fallen. So at the current P0, right, there's only so few units that will be bought.
But I thought to show like the change in demand, you just show like the new market equilibrium.
Yeah, correct. The new equilibrium is the Q1 long. So this is the new equilibrium. But if you, of course, you can just say like, oh, so it goes from like Q0 to P1, Q1, like, correct. But then if you explain the additional part, you make it more complete, right? Then that is the part your friends will not have.
Oh, so you say that the demand curve shifts left, then demand decreases to QD. So then at QD, your like at
P0, quantity demanded falls to QD. So then the surplus comes up.
Because your quantity supply is more than your quantity demanded.
Quantity supplied more than quantity demanded.
Then downwards pressure on price, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, great. Okay, you're done. I removed the diagram. Okay, let's go. Yeah, so this one here, we've done quite a few times now. So you have surplus, downward pressure on price. Then again, this part, if you know, then just take note of the details. Okay, like things like it is a quantity demanded change. So the first part is the shift in demand. So demand decreases. And then after that, there will be changes in quantity demanded, quantity supplied. All right, so this one must use quantity. If you just say demand supply, right, then conceptually it's not correct. Okay, so again, after that, quantity demanded change, quantity supplied change until new equilibrium is formed. All right, so this one will be like for the first part of the essay lah. So this one you can give example. Let's say here you talk about a generic example like branded cars. If you want to give like specific examples, like for example, when there was a fall in demand, fall in income, let's say a few years back, right? Let's say with the recession, with COVID, then people bought less luxury stuff, the branded stuff. The cars also like, in a way, cars have, yeah. Okay, so if you want to use those specific examples, like what year, all that, you can also include in this point. Okay, then after that, we look at inferior goods. All right, so inferior goods, this is the opposite. Income is now lower, but you buy more of this item, right? I take more public transport. I eat more instant noodles. I go for more like free and cheap stuff. So inferior goods and normal goods, you can say that they are like substitutes. So when income goes up, I choose more of this. I give up inferior goods and vice versa. Okay, so here we explain the inferior goods part. Explain inferior goods. Okay, so this paragraph again, we will do the explanation and then also you have changes in demand and then the changes in diagram. Okay, so this one just make sure you have the 3 steps. All right, so we define inferior goods. We explain that lower income, higher demand. Let's say, for example, for bus rides, okay, or let's say MRT lah. So they have less buying power. They want to save. They want to choose something that is cheaper, something that is taking up a less proportion of their income, for example. Okay, so inferior goods doesn't mean that the quality is bad. Like MRT is like world-class standard in Singapore lah. But if you can afford, of course, you want to buy a car, right? And when you have a car, you're not going to take public transport as much as before if you still take. Okay, so again, same thing here. You need to plot out your shortage, right? This is Q, and then you have the upward pressure leading to the new equilibrium. Okay, no issues. Then I move on to the explanation. Okay, no questions. Silence means you're all good to go. So next one, thank you. Shortage part QDQ0. The shortage. Oh, 可以 lah. I just need more details just to be like careful. Yeah, can, correct. No. You can, thanks for the feedback. All right, so next one. Okay, so this one was from last year's IB paper. Okay, again, every time, actually having class now is quite stressful lah, because I have run out of like a lot of questions to go and find like everywhere for that one question or two questions that we haven't done. Okay, but that said, right, it's good for you because we have really tried everything. If you go look at the Facebook and all the practices you have done, and if your school is not creating their new questions but using back like whatever has come out in IB before, then chances are it'll be something that we have done at least once before. Lah. So it wouldn't be totally new, like, oh, what the hell is going on? Okay, so next one is also from last year's IB paper. This one is a twist. We haven't tried doing it in this angle before, but it'll be quite interesting. Okay, can. So let me remove the diagram first. Yeah, done. Okay, I remove the diagram first. Okay, so this question and the previous one, they are not one set. Okay, it's not together. I just mix and match. So the previous one talk about demand supply. This one talks about price ceiling, which we also have done many times. Okay, and they're asking you if this is effective or ineffective way to protect low-income consumers. Okay, so far, many of the times we have done like discuss the impact, right? Look at the consequences of this policy. Or let's say 10 mark asks you to give the reasons for the policy. But now they are not asking about those. They're asking whether if you want to protect low-income consumers, would this be good or not so good policy? So 10 marks, again, if something relevant, you can also like just refer. You don't have to like give me a while. Okay, thank you. It's from you. Yes, I make one. Thank you. Yeah, okay, can. What was I saying? Okay, so the 10 mark one, right? The part A is if it's relevant, you can just refer, right? But just now, we didn't do that part A. But anyway, that part A, right, asks you to explain the impact of a price floor. Okay, so this price ceiling, all right. So I'll let you know first. So the part A was about price floor. This part B is a price ceiling. Okay, so if you are doing that set, right, then there's nothing to refer. Okay, so we are taking this as a fresh new question. So everything necessary you have to write down. There's nothing to refer to like the previous part A. Okay, so price ceiling, this is your main policy. Again, you would know what this is. Okay, we've done for quite a few times. Then the thing here is whether you can really use it to protect low-income consumers. Okay, so if you want to, of course, you give examples, right? You need to talk about the definitions diagram. You can also look at the reasons for price ceiling, right? If you say you want to protect low-income consumers, right? How? Okay, how are you actually using it to achieve that outcome? You explain the whole thing, then you say that it is effective. Okay, so you explain how it works, right, in this angle, then say that it is effective, blah, blah, blah. Then why it is not effective, then blah, blah, blah. Then evaluation. Okay, so previously the focus was on the impact, the consequences of the policy, but now your focus is on the low-income consumers. Okay, so should be quite a similar points, just a different twist, a different perspective in your answer. Fine. So we introduce the example here, then you can link to the main intention that also fits your questions topic. Okay, then this is done. We just end off the intro.
Sorry, can you go back up for a bit?
Can. Like this.
I guess all the way to the top, because I want to check something.
Okay. All the way to the top. Right. The first essay in January.
Okay, wait, thanks. That's
Okay. No, I'm just very deprived because no one talks to me. So every chance, I'll prolong the conversation. Okay. So for now, the structure is still quite similar. So we are going to draw out, we're going to explain the policy first. Okay. So this part will be same as what we always do. So you have to show like how it works and all that. Okay. So we'll explain the policy. Okay. I go down. So it is set. So price ceiling, we have P0, Q0 first. Then this portion, you draw one line below so that it forces the price to go down to P max. quantity demanded, quantity supplied, so you have a shortage. Shortage you really need to have because later we have to say that the con could be that the firms will reduce their production so that not every consumer will get to consume. So only those that can buy, they are able to buy, they will do so at PMAX, but there will be people who are unable to buy, right? So shortage is a common thing. Day weight loss, see if you want to link to that. Okay, so that one is more like the social impact, not really that much on whether it helps the low consumers, low income consumers. Okay, so we
Wait.
see how it goes later, huh?
Can
Okay,
you scroll up?
where like to January first essay.
Yeah, that part.
Okay, you guys are done. I removed the diagram.
For instance,
Ken, you okay?
yeah. Okay, can.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So this portion we talk about the diagram. So P0 first, now it comes to Pmax. Okay. If you want to say that quantity demanded is QD, quantity supplied is QS, also can. All right. So I went straight to the point. You're talking about whether it benefits the low income consumers. So we said yes, the whole design of the policy usually is to help low income people. The reasoning is that it is now cheaper for them. So we mentioned it here is more affordable. We also say that it benefits them more than the higher income because it's a larger proportion of their income. Okay, so this can be the explanation. Then we can give like a few more reasons why the policy could be effective. Okay, so we are supporting the policy first. So let's say one reason is that those will be imposed on necessity goods, right? Like you see in the case of chicken, something that we always use, right? So it helps them because these people use this product daily, all right, or very frequently. Next thing is you can also set an absolute price, right? So we are not allowing the price to exceed a certain level, and the law is in place to do that. So it's very clear cut, right? Because if you let market forces determine, or if you try to shift the demand supply curve, you may not know where you end up in terms of the new equilibrium. But when we set the maximum price, it's very clear cut. Okay, it shall not exceed that level, right? So it's a more like definite change lah. Okay, so we list those down, then we can go and argue otherwise. Okay, huh? Very like solid. Okay, so two reasons again, just minimum one lah. Okay, just that now because it comes off, so I just include them. So first one again, because it's usually on things that the consumers or the low income consumers often consume. That's why it's relevant, right? If we put a price ceiling on like LV, then yeah, it's not helpful lah because they don't buy that, right? And second thing is there's a specific clear cut outcome because we can allow the prices to go up to this level, right? So when we try to shift the demand supply curve, let's say the government uses taxes, subsidies, etc., you may not be so sure where the prices end up because market forces are still there, right? But now you are not allowing the market forces to determine by saying no, 940 is 940, that's all. And that is the price that you determine that the lower income consumers can still afford. Okay, so in that sense, you help them more, lah, right? That's what we are driving at here. Okay, so now we say that it is not helping. Okay, so again, you see that the points here are a bit different from how we phrase it usually. So this following the question. So why is it not so effective? Okay, so based on the diagram just now, the first reason, because not everyone can buy. Okay, so the prices are affordable, but the accessibility will be reduced because they only produce until QS. Okay, so that could be your first reason. All right, so we include that first.
Wait, sorry, could you go up again to the paragraph before this?
No, cannot. You used up your chance for today.
I'll just leave the meeting then.
This one
Okay,
can
thanks.
this okay, all right. Okay, so the main point I feel like the main point is here. It is more affordable, but the excess is reduced because it will be more out of stock. Okay, so based on the diagram, out of stock will be shown by the shortage, right? Another way to show from the diagram is that your availability is now reduced from Q0 to QS. Okay, last time the firms produced Q0, now you only produce QS, right? So in the real life example, how this is shown is about like you go to this shop, they don't have, you go to that shop, everywhere it is out of stock. Okay, so it is cheaper, but people cannot find. Then it makes it harder lah, cause I got the money, but it's already out of stock, so I cannot eat the good. Okay, and consumption gives you satisfaction, right? So that makes you worse off. Okay, so this could be one point to have. Then next point, you can also look at, let's say, the black market. So black market is where they sell you at a much higher price, but in the illegal market. So of course, that one may not be so prevalent everywhere. Let's say in the developing countries, maybe more. So we saw that just now, only QS is available, right? So QS, assuming that the firms take out QS in the market, right? So we produce QS, that is what the maximum price tells us to do. And then at QS, we are not going to sell PMAX. We are going to sell you at a higher price than before, right? Based on the consumer's willingness and ability. Okay, so again, this one could be relevant here because it will not help the low-income consumers, right? So the deadweight loss and all that is not wrong lah. It's just that maybe it doesn't answer the question directly because it is not so much to do with the low-income consumers, right? But like society as a whole. So that one, if you want to use, then probably you can use something else to also support that point. Okay, so I write this first, then if you need anything, you let me know. Okay, now the black market price, if you want to show it on the diagram, all right, you look for your QS, then you do the dotted line upwards to touch your demand curve. Okay, again, if you were like missing out, so we didn't plot this price just now. So if you want to plot this, you look for QS on the diagram, all right, you look for QS, you draw the dotted line upwards, and you touch the demand curve. Okay, then once you touch the demand curve, you go to the left side, you touch the axis, we can label it as P1. You can label it as P black, whatever lah. Okay, just to differentiate. All right, if you want to also reference that in the answer. Okay, so here I didn't reference because I don't want to confuse you, but if you want to draw, right, again, go to QS, do the dotted line upwards to the demand curve, and then you go to the side. You can label P black, P BM for black market, or just P1, up to you. Okay, so that will be the black market price. And you realize that is higher than P0, right? Which is what we have said here. Okay, so in the illegal market, then they can deduct the price lah. Because if you want to buy chicken, you better like pay me like $18 per kg, that kind of thing. Right, super crazy. Next thing, right, we're almost the end already. But let's say now you want to be a more competitive person. So we can add in the evaluation point for each paragraph. Okay, so here very specific. The EV here is for this paragraph, this point. So you can give the EV or you must give the EV for the whole essay. But let's say this specific point, right, I really got something else to say. For example, we say that, the black market could arise, it could be a much higher price, right? So theoretically, that could happen. So then you challenge your own point. Okay, so this is my argument, right, or my counter argument. I'm arguing against my counter argument.
Do we need to like talk about an alternative policy?
No need. Here nothing. If they ask you if this is the best policy, then you need. But this one is just, is this policy good or not?
But I thought they say least effective. Isn't that like best?
Where got least effective? Wait, where is it? Oh, here. It's an ineffective.
So if they say best or worst, then you have to
compare. So you need alternative.
Wait, then what alternative will you give for this?
To protect the low-income consumers, you can give subsidies.
Subsidies. Okay.
Give subsidies. Can? Okay, can. All right. So where was I? Okay. So let's say for this, right, we said that black market could arise and then people will have to pay even higher than P0, right? So the next thing is we challenge our point here. Is this point valid or not? Right? So just now we recall we said, maybe more so for developing country, maybe not so much for developed country where the laws are like tighter. Okay, so you make it like more like to reality lah. So this will be your EV for this point. So it could be like 1-2 liner. Okay, it doesn't have to be another paragraph. So let's see, that's it. So last one. Okay, so coming back to the question, okay, you need to sum up the overall picture. So is this effective or not effective at protecting low-income consumers, right? So they say that it is an ineffective policy. So of course, you have to look at the situation lah, right? No right, wrong. So let's say you can look at how much it changes the price by comparing P0 and Pmax, by how much of a change. You can look at what product they impose this on. you can look at whether the laws are in place to enforce this, right? To make sure that no black market comes up, etc. You can look at the country even, right? This one you can tie to the law. Then also you can look at whether you have other policies, right? Okay. Let's say if you want to mention other policies here, also can. So, but of course, we're not like saying that, oh, we have to compare another policy. But for example, if you know that that country, right, let's say Malaysia, for example, they have a price ceiling, and then maybe at the same time, they give subsidies to the firms, for example, right, to reduce cost, to reduce price, then this policy could be made more effective because the upward pressure on price, right, is a bit like reduced. Okay, so we are using the subsidies as a condition to make the policy better, not as an alternative policy to compare with. Okay, can so you mentioned some of this. You've not talked about short term, long term, right? So usually this is not like forever. So for the time being, okay lah, good, right? You immediately restrict the price going up or from going up. But over long term, right, it's like if you restrict too long, then it will explode, right? So you can't keep it for too long. So it's not a very like long term permanent solution. So that is the gist of it. Of course, you can argue otherwise, like let's say you want to say no, it's always good or it's always bad, it's never good, never bad, up to you.
Wait, what does it mean by it distorts the market?
So the market is not at equilibrium anymore. So if you let it at equilibrium, then no need to change anything. But now you push it to a disequilibrium, the shortage essentially, and the market cannot go back to where it should be.
But like, what's wrong there?
So like let's say for firms, right, let's say why they're raising prices because the cost of production has gone up. But you prevent them from raising prices, right? So it could lead to like firms leaving the market. They don't want to produce this anymore. They choose to produce something else. Then there will be upward pressure on prices further. It could also reduce the consumption or the availability some more. So like creating more problems.
Oh, okay. Wait. Do we talk about why they increase prices?
Why what?
Did we talk about in the essay why they increase prices?
Why they increase prices? No need no need. That one, no, unless you link to like one of the points here. Otherwise, like that one is a bit like off already.